it'll be a fun show regardless.
Yeah, yeah. I want to try to keep it light as possible, if possible, and make sure you ask them to ask a question, and also, if they want, they can give me a birth date, and sometimes that gives me ideas as far as their readings too.
Okay. Yeah, I'll announce that here at the beginning. Okay, we're live now, and let me see here. I think we're guys. We're live with Dr. Renae. It's going to be a really fun show. And then, okay, take a big deep breath, and because this is going to be a great show, guys. And let me see here. I put up the subscribe button too. You know, guys, remember subscribe on YouTube and on Rumble. It's really important right now. You know, it helps, and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. And hit the thumbs up too, like the video, because not enough people have been liking it on Rumble. So remember to like it if you're watching on Rumble too. And I'm really excited about my guest today. I'm excited every time I have her on the show. She's amazing. I have with me Dr. Renae Nagle, and Dr. Renae Nagle is a certified hypnotherapist, EMDR therapist, and a clinical psychotherapist with a deep background in spiritual counseling and metaphysics. Having studied at the Brotherhood of the White Temple, Aurora University, and EMDR Institute in California, she merges therapeutic practices with ancient wisdom traditions. Her specialties include hypnosis, trauma recovery, and metaphysical healing, guiding others to access higher consciousness and align with their soul purpose. In this episode, Dr. Nagle channels Archangel Metatron again through live tarot readings, but we're also going to be getting into a little bit of world events and the current state of our energy, you know, in the world, you know, like what we're up against energetically, because it seems like a lot of people are going through like a tough energetic shift, and we're going to be she's going to bring up messages of guidance, clarity, and empowerment for you guys. We'll also discuss integration of psychology and metaphysics and how to use these tools so people can help release trauma and step into spiritual alignment. And, you know, I just wanted to make the announcement before, and I'll probably make it again as people start to join us. Dr. Renae is going to do personal readings for you guys today, but she said when you ask for a reading, make sure you ask a question or you know, get an idea of what you want to ask about, and then also if you can provide your birth date too, you know, so because that helps her tap in a little bit better. So, you know, but we're not even going to get into the readings just yet. We're going to wait till the audience builds up a little bit. We're going to get into some other stuff first. Like I said, we'll get into the current energy of the planet and, you know, some world politics and stuff based on, you know, some ideas Dr. Renae had. And with all that said, I'd like to give her a big warm welcome back to the show. Dr. Renae, thanks so much for coming back on. How are you?
I'm really actually good today. I've been working on grounding my energies this week a lot more because it's been very intense, these shifts, and it affects all of us. It doesn't matter what your background is, what your degrees are, how much spiritual evolution you've become or gone through. You know, these energies are affecting our mental abilities, our physical body, and our emotions. And it feels some days like you're sticking your finger in a wall outlet, because the energies are just coming in so fast and so quick and so intense. And if any of you have been feeling your fingers or your hands buzzing on your left side, that's because you're taking in a lot of this energy. And so I would suggest, you know, Epsom salt baths, ground yourself, take walks outside in nature, maybe even once or twice a day, you know, because you need to ground in the earth energies to have this electricity, literally, that's coursing through your body. And it's also causing a lot of anxiety and intense emotions, and people are acting very erratically when they normally wouldn't. They're overwhelmed by all the intensity of the energy shifts. And so they might be acting out and acting strange, you know, in ways that maybe you're not, you know, used to their personality acting that way. And so, you know, we need to kind of give each other a lot of leeway, because this is affecting the entire planet. This is across all the planetary grids everywhere on the planet. A lot of my colleagues in the UK who are, you know, metaphysical, and they're readers, and they do some similar things to me. They're all, when they do their readings, they're saying the same thing. And these are people who don't know each other maybe directly, but when they're doing their readings, they're pulling up these same kind of energy shifts. And we did just go through what's called the 8-8 Lion's Gate. So that was another portal, energy portal that opened up on the planet. And then what happens is that energy opens up, it shifts the energy and the frequency around us that affects our energy and our frequency. And if we have a lot of stress and trauma that's in our emotional body or in our mental structure, as far as our mental thoughts, then if we're not consciously aware that that's happening, we're going to think there's something wrong with us. And there's nothing wrong with us.
Can I ask you a question? This has to do with a lot about what you do. And I didn't think about this before the show, but I just thought of it now because I think you'll be able to help me. So I'll give a little bit of a backdrop. So I don't know if you knew this about me, Dr. Renae, but like I had a guy jump in front of my car and kill himself in 2010. And it was like really traumatic. It was really bad. It was deemed not my fault. It was like, there was like a 6-month investigation, and he was like on drugs and he was trying to kill himself. But it still left like a traumatic imprint on me. And then what I noticed is I started mental health after that. And I noticed that after that, like I was like getting like anxious about stuff, and I would start to think that like bad things were going to happen to me, even though like almost like my mind was like almost manifesting something bad. Then I thought that I had come out of that. But then like recently, when I lost my main YouTube channel, believe it or not, that was a trauma. It wasn't as bad as what I went through in 2010.
It triggered your old trauma.
Yeah, and then I got demonetized on my audio podcast too. So like those were 2 traumas that hit me. So now I've noticed that I went back to that, like worrying that like something bad's gonna happen, or like something traumatic's gonna happen again. Like I can't help but think that something always bad is gonna happen now because those 2 bad things happen. Like, how do we escape that, and or not escape it, but like how do we transcend that and like move on? Is there a way to heal fast from that, or like?
Okay, so first of all, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. That is horrible experience to go through. And that person was going to kill himself no matter whose car he jumped in front of. But the problem is that when that happened, there was a thought here in your frontal cortex that stamped your energy field, that made you feel somehow you're responsible, even though we know you weren't. And then right here where your seat of emotion sits on the bone, it energetically stamped you with that trauma. And we don't know either that when he committed that act, that energetically he didn't cross into the light. He could have attached to your energy field. And oftentimes when you have an entity attachment on top of the trauma that you just experienced, then you're holding that in your energy field. And if you don't desensitize it and transmute it, because all energy can be transmuted, if you have somebody that can help you through that, then that emotional stamp stays in your energy field. And then when other things like a more recent trauma comes in, or you're watching what's going on in the world today, especially in our country, it can re-trigger the emotional energy stamp in the body that your body has a body memory with. I actually wrote about that in my first 2 books on Amazon. I go into it at length. Okay. Yeah. So what happens then is that unless you desensitize the thought that went along with the emotional energy charge that stamped your energy field, then in the future, that's going to continue to get triggered when something else that's causing you anxiety, or you experience another trauma, is going to then have it come up and out of your energy field. And you're literally going to go right back to that memory, because it's already in your body's memory and energy field. So
can I say something real quick?
Yes.
And like you said, what you talked about before the show, when the energies are intense like this, I get triggered more so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why when you asked me how I was doing today, that's kind of why I was like, well, and then I was like, well, maybe I should just tell you what's going on,
Well, you know me. I'm very psychic intuitively. I see, I feel, I hear, and I just know things. So when a person comes into my energy, immediately I start getting flooded. And that's why I asked you, how are you doing today? Because I was seeing and feeling there's something going on with you. And I thought, well, let me check in with you before we get on the air. So, in
Yeah.
case it's something that you don't want to discuss with the world, right? So I try to respect your privacy, but I thank you for sharing that, because see, now when you shared that, there's a whole world out there of people that are sitting there and they're shaking their heads like this and they're going, yeah, I've been feeling that way too. And maybe I'm having these reoccurrent flashbacks or old triggers that are coming up that are causing me to be more volatile emotionally, psychologically. And then you start to think, well, my God, what's wrong with me? I'm losing my mind. I can't handle my emotions today. And maybe you overreact to something somebody says to you. But I want you to know that that's an old trauma that you haven't discharged yet. You haven't transmuted it. So when I was talking about energy in my second book, which starts out with the title EMDR, if you have that energy stamp in your field, because the timelines are shifting also right now, people are going in and out of timelines, and that can be confusing, right? So when you're wanting to transmute those energies from the old traumas, you can do it a couple different ways. You can do it with EMDR, you can do it with mindfulness, you can do it with meditation, you can do it with hypnosis, which I've done for many, many years. There's so many ways that you can transmute the trauma, so that now, as these energies are impinging upon us even more intensely, you may not be triggered the way you said you were this week. And I can tell you for personal experiences, even with somebody like me, with everything I know and everything I've learned and how often I've worked with like hundreds of clients, I was getting intense like energy shifts this week that were causing me to feel like I was being disrupted. So I did things like I smudged the house with Nag Champa. That's what I like to use, or you can use sage. You can take an Epsom salt bath. I've probably been out for a walk twice in the last couple of days. Like, I've been doing double walks in the morning and in the afternoon to ground myself in nature. So if it's affecting me this way, I can only imagine what the rest of the planet is dealing with this week. And these energies, they're not getting any less intense. The next couple of months, it's going to pick up even more. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the show this evening, because I want people to be aware of, yes, these energies are coming in. It's nothing to be afraid of. Okay. I want to put that out there too. I am not the kind of person where I'm going to set things up for anybody to be in fear, uncertainty, and doubt. These are temporary energy shifts. They are not going to last forever. Yes, sometimes the intensity can last for several weeks to several months until people's light codes, their energies can catch up with things. And then they give us a break for a while and we settle down a little bit till we can digest everything. And then they might, stir up again. So, I did kind of want to go, I wanted to start that way, so that people know that they don't have to suffer in silence. So whether you're in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Brazil, or anywhere in the United States or anywhere on the planet right now, the whole planet is experiencing these intense energy shifts. It's not just us. It's an increase in our consciousness, and it was meant to be this way. Unfortunately, humans, we don't like chaos. We don't like uncertainty. We want to know things. We want answers. And when we are basically pushed off our stability and our grounding, we feel off kilter. And that's not a comfortable place for human beings to be. We like to know. We like to feel assured. We like to be confident. We don't like to be out in limbo. And that's a different thing now for humans on the planet. Uncertainty. Because people don't understand why things are happening. They don't know this is part of a spiritual shift on a huge dimension, and that there are ways to navigate through it and not be afraid of it. Because the more you fight it, right, then the more you drop your energy, and you're in an energy of vibration of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And then it's much harder for you to transition through these energy shifts. So there are a lot of things you can do to elevate and manage your stress and your anxiety, without maybe drinking or doing drugs or, behaviors that are not proactive, to your immune system. Okay. Lots of lemon water every day. It will alkalinize your body. It will help you, digest and manage the foods you're taking in. Stop eating anything processed. If you can't read what's on a label, don't eat it. Okay. Because it's a lower vibrational frequency. It's not helping you manage all these energies that are coming in. Fresh water, sleep. Try to sleep as much as you can. Okay. You don't have to exercise like a fiend. Go out for walks in nature, sit under a tree, do some breath work. If you don't meditate, just close your eyes and just sit under a tree and suck up some sun and ground yourself on the earth so that this electricity that's coursing through your body runs through your energy system and goes down into the earth herself, because she can handle it. See, and even though you might see all the storms and things that the earth is experiencing, that also is happening with the earth because she's also shifting. Our earth axis is off by like a couple degrees. So as the earth is shifting, so are we. And we need to kind of remember that and be kind to yourself. Yeah, forgive people their indiscretions because they're not acting normally right now, because there is no real normal right now. That's the problem, because everything is crazy out there with energy. Nobody feels normal, so we don't know what that is anymore. See, we're all navigating through this new energy, and it takes time, and you really have to take care of yourself. You've got to be kind to yourself. You have to be kind to the people around you, and if you're putting out negative ideas, if you're talking about things that are fearful to people, you're just spreading that energy. You're not manifesting, positive energy to elevate your vibration so that you can handle these other intense energies. So I hope that's kind of coming in clear if people are picking that up.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was really great. I like that. Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, and you said yeah, and you said, and I'm probably gonna have to read your books too. Like, I think that would help me on my journey a lot as well, just to read your books and get an idea of like, because that would probably help me process my trauma. Do you think like
the first book, it's like 300 pages, but I have to tell you, there's anything in there you ever want to know about anything that has to do with bio energy shifts, psychobioneuroimmunology, psychotherapy, quantum physics. My background is really intense and varied, but that's because I've been practicing these skills with my many hundreds of clients over many, many years, including doing my own personal work. The second book is about 126 pages, and it talks about EMDR, the energy shifts, and it has the protocol in there to shift the energy. And those are both on Amazon, and you can probably order, them, whenever you need to do that. But the reason I do the podcast is because if people can see that I'm just a real person like everybody else, it doesn't matter how many degrees I have behind my name, it's that I'm dealing with the same thing everybody else is dealing with on the planet. And my role here is to empower people and educate you and give you information so that you don't stay stuck in the past traumas, and that you can transmute and transition through those and still live your life, and try to find as much happiness and joy right now as you can. Because right now what's happening on this planet, planetarily wise, whether you believe in, galactic interventions, or ufology, or quantum physics, it's kind of like we're in this huge simulation. And whatever you're focusing your attention on is what you're going to manifest around you in your life. So if you're constantly in this negative feedback loop of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and you keep getting triggered by past traumas, then it's going to be harder and more challenging at times to stay focused on what you want to see happening on the planet and with your own life versus the chaos that's been thrown in front of us to try to do what? Trip us up, to keep our vibration and our energies low so that we can be stuck and controlled in this simulation, as I like to see it. But quantum physics, nobody owns quantum energy. That is an energy that's there for all of us. But we've been taught not to trust it, not to use it, and not to elevate ourselves with it, because the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, whether you call them the dark side or, whoever, whatever you call the terminology, there's this huge shift from that energy into the light. And of course, there's going to be power struggles, right? Anybody who are in roles of power and authority and want to stay in control, yes, of course, they're going to promote things like on television, all the negative stuff on the news that you see every day, right? They're going to promote pessimism. They're going to promote fear. They're going to tell you what you should believe, right? Instead of you intuitively trusting that you're a sovereign being created by a creator energy. That's very powerful. And people need to remember who they are and how powerful you are. And when you start to remember that, you can feel it. You can feel it just coursing through every fiber of your being. Your entire body will start to feel powerful because you're finally living from a place of an internal locus of control. It's from you internally, not externally, that's being thrown at you, affecting your belief system. And so when I'm doing EMDR or hypnosis or whatever else I do, okay, a lot of what I'm doing is I'm working with your belief systems, the old paradigms where they were given to you through suggestion, which is hypnosis in a sense, right? And it was stamped in your energy field. So you believed those old belief systems. And so you've created your whole existence based on those old paradigms and belief systems. But that is the old energy. We are supposed to be elevating our energy into a higher vibrational frequency of consciousness. And when I talk about that, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about true empowerment. So when you're consciously in that energy, no matter how all this stuff impinges upon you around you, you can see through it. You can poke holes in it and you can say, that's a lie. That's a lie. That is not my truth, right? Because truth is different for each individual person. And we've got so far away of trusting our gut. Our gut is connected to our higher self, our higher wisdom. And when we connect that with our heart, I call it the mindful heart connection, that's when you're really in your full power. You have to stop listening to all these people out there who want to keep you in fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's why you're stuck. And then when these energies come in, right, if you don't know why they're coming in and how they're affecting you and how you can, deal with it, then you're just going to look for anybody, anywhere to tell you something so you can stop feeling what? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I did want to discuss like one more thing too, Rob.
That's fine.
Okay, so today, I think most of us are aware that two people who run countries are meeting in Alaska. I don't have to name names. I won't give that any energy. But what I do want to say about that is, whatever your belief systems are about what you're seeing presented in the news, instead of focusing on anger or fear, I want you to manifest how you want to see things turn out. And if we have 1 million people do that, if you want to see, the devastation and the bombing and people being murdered and killed for no good reason other than a land grab, okay, focus on that you want to see peace, and that work out that way. That's where you need to focus your energy. That's how you need to focus your energy. Don't buy into what you see the news media telling you, because that's their story that they want you to believe, right? So that behind the scenes, they can do whatever they want to do. We're more powerful than that, So that's kind of how I work when I'm working with my clients. I focus on not your trauma, so to speak, so much as who you want to be, where you want to go, and how you want to get there. And we can transmute all the trauma we want, but if you don't change your belief system that you're safe, that you're a sovereign being in control of your own existence and your own life, people can deal with your trauma till the end of time. But if you don't look at your belief systems and shift your energy and focus on what you want to manifest, and people might say, well, that's wishful thinking. No, because you're focusing in on the quantum fields of energy. Tachyon energy fields don't have a past, a present, or a future. They just are. So you can shift those energy fields by shifting your belief system. And if you don't know how to do that on your own, then find a practitioner that you trust that can help you navigate through that and coach you. I do a lot of coaching with my clients too, because when people get stuck, then they can't focus on, well, what could I do next, right? To get to the next step, because they're stuck because of their belief system, And so I hopefully that will give people a little bit more, encouragement and confidence about what we see playing out today. A lot of my colleagues and readers, are saying a lot of the same thing. But at the same time, nobody really knows exactly for sure how this whole meeting today is going to play out in Alaska. There are so many moving pieces and personality issues. Okay, let's just say that these two people they have personality issues, both psychologically, individually, and then they have their power plays. So who knows what's going to happen? So I did want to put that out there too, because this whole weekend, you watch what the news media is going to be saying to you. So pay attention to what they're saying, but don't buy into a lot of what you're going to hear. Just wanted to put that out there. So that's enough of that.
And that's really well said. I don't think we can change what these world leaders are going to do. All I think we can do is we can just advance our own lives, and take responsibility for our own actions and try to manifest a better world. And they say we can create our reality, so we don't need to bow down to any leader, whether it's left or right, far, center. You know what I mean? Like, to me, they're all the same.
Focus on the highest, best outcome for peace.
Yeah.
The highest, best outcome for peace. However that may play out, we can't control that, right? You're right. But we can ask and focus on the highest outcome for peace, because people are dying in the Ukraine and in Russia every day, for no reason other than a land grab. for mineral rights, okay, and wheat. It's all about money. It's always about money and power with these people who think they can come in and be bullies and keep us down and take away our rights and our freedoms and scare us in Washington, D.C. with putting police on the streets for no good reason. I mean, it's all a ruse to keep us stuck in that old energy of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This is all going to pass. And if you need to go out and do what you need to do, whether you need to protest, be careful. Think about your family, but also, do what you feel you need to do. A lot of us are here. We have our callings, what we're here to do. And every person on this planet has something important for them to be doing. And only you are going to know what that is. But don't be stupid, okay? Still be safe, right? Take precautions. And you can see how the powers that be are trying to shut down people's YouTubes, take away their ability to, monetize, to financially have a living. And so a lot of that right now is out there so strongly. And you can see if you ever watch any of, Rob's podcasts, you'll hear his colleagues talk about what they've been going through, because they're light showers, they're way showers, they're whistleblowers, they're of the light. They're trying to enlighten us and empower us. But yet these older dark paradigms, these old belief systems, they don't want us to succeed, because if we do and they don't win, then they'll be gone. And at some point, this planet was meant to transition into that higher frequency, and those people will not be allowed, anymore. But we have to individually raise our vibration and then collectively raise our vibration as if we were a team. Several years ago, when I was studying hypnosis, I was living in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I would do things like shamanic retrievals, soul retrievals, while I was going through all my hypnosis training. And I actually lived there for, I want to say 17 months. I was on Indian reservations, and, I was experiencing things that maybe the average person would not experience, but it was my chosen spiritual path for me to evolve, not just individually as a human being, but as a therapist and a metaphysician. And so when I had these experiences, there were so many things that happened that just was like, wow, angels do exist, right? Other energies do exist. There are good people on the planet that care for each other. And even in my sessions, when I was doing hypnosis work with some of my clients, I would literally be connecting with like the Council of 12 or the Circle of 9 or the galactic hierarchy, that would come through my clients as they were in hypnosis without me even asking them, to come. And the client would have no recollection or no experience with these, hierarchies of energy. And they would tell me things about, what it's like to be in different dimensions. They would talk to me about spiritual shifting and frequencies, and also tell me things about me that there's no way that patient or client could have known about me. And I've had other colleagues like Dr. Brian Weiss, who's a PhD psychiatrist. He's also written books when he's had his clients in hypnosis about these experiences where spirit would come through his patient and tell him specific things about his daughter that he had lost. And there was no way that patient could have known that. So when I would continue to go through these types of experiences with my own clients in hypnosis sessions, it began to enlighten me to a point where it's like, wow, this is more than I could have ever imagined. It made me, it gave me a sense of joy and wonder and imagination. And the more I worked with clients, the more I learned, and it was fascinating. And so, it's possible. It's so possible for us individually and collectively to shift our energy to these higher vibrational frequencies, because this was what this planet was meant to be before these dark forces came in, right? And literally held us hostage and put all this bondage upon us, right? And used us as human resources for what their pleasure, or, filling up their coffers with gold from our mines, coal from our, different mining interventions that they did on this planet, or even abducting our children and, manipulating them to, impregnate them. So as hybrids. And so when I've had these experiences with my clients over the years, I realized there is so much that we don't know that has been hidden from us on purpose to keep us here on this planet held hostage as literal prisoners and in bondage. That's not the way this was meant to be on this planet. This was not the way the consciousness was meant to be. So now when all these vibrational codes are coming in, these light codes, Guess what? They're happening because we're supposed to be in that energy. That's what we're meant for. But if you don't understand that this is happening or why it's happening, you're going to struggle with it instead of allowing it to come in, embracing it, opening up your heart center, right? Allowing love to come back in your very being and vibrate your entire body so you can heal whatever it is inside of you that may have gone through trauma, whether you think it's this lifetime or a different timeline, because in those dimensions, time does not exist. This is a human construct that we have made up, I think, as a form of what? Systematic control, to keep us controlled, right? 8 o'clock, get up, go to your job, 5 o'clock, come home, right? It's repetition. It's to keep us in this constant state of management and control. It's like micromanaging us as human beings. Human beings were never meant to live like this. We were meant to be free, to be joyous, to be happy, to love who we want to love, to not be discriminated against because of our gender or the color of our skin or our sexuality. We were meant to be enlightened beings. That's who we are. And so one of the reasons why I like to do these podcasts is to remind people, the word remember, if you look at the word and you say it's RE-member, remember who you are. You're a sovereign being. You're a soul in a body here having a human experience for evolutionary purposes. But at the same time, we're meant to be creators. We're not meant to be held back. We're not meant to have all our freedoms taken away from us or our freedom of speech squashed from us, or, people come to our door to arrest us without due process. That is not how this is supposed to work. Whether it's in a democracy like America or another country, everywhere across this planet, people are fighting for their rights and their freedoms. Right now in the UK, there's a colleague of mine. Her name is Amanda Ellis. And I did talk about her in your last podcast.
Yeah. A lot of people in the audience are fans of hers.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, people may not always agree with some of her political views, but as she said, she has a right to her opinion. But when she's doing readings, she will often bring in people like Princess Diana. And when I listened to her today, it was very, very apparent to me that energy of Princess Diana is so strong on this planet. Women in the world are not treated with the respect and the value that they deserve. And I want people to understand that whether you're a male or a female, you have both energies in your energy field. We're both masculine and feminine, which both is divine. We need to honor and respect and treat each other with kindness and compassion and respect. No one person is any better than any other. And in the UK right now, Amanda Ellis talked about how they have people coming in from other countries who aren't privy to respecting women. And women are being assaulted on a regular basis in the UK. Can you believe that? Because their energies from these countries where the male belief system is, we are the most important. Women need to walk behind us, have our babies, make our meals, clean our house, right? But to do as we say, not as I do. And so she's been talking about this, that this is not appropriate energy on the planet today. And that if we buy into that old belief paradigm that, men are, the best, women don't matter, then we're feeding into that old belief system. And that's not where we're supposed to be. We are so much better than that. Human beings are wonderful. We are smart. We are talented. We're funny. We're kind. We care about each other. We don't need to go back into those old belief systems. We're supposed to be enlightening each other, lifting each other up. That is the way this planet was intended to be from the very, very beginning. So when I'm listening to people podcast and they're talking about, oh, this is the end of the world, okay? Or you have to watch out because of the alien and aliens that are going to come into our planet and take us over. Let me tell you, okay, if any of those things were going to happen, they would have happened a long time ago. And whether you believe that it's happening, in the middle of the earth or in Alaska, or in the oceans, whatever your experiences are, I don't negate anybody's experiences. What I'm saying to you is, even if all those things are true, you don't have to buy into that. As long as you structure your belief system from a higher perspective consciously, then you will elevate yourself individually, which will elevate the rest of us on the planet. We're kind of like a set of dominoes, right? When you click one domino, what does it do? Boom, 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 boom. The rest all fall into perfect sequence, right? Because they're working seamlessly, energetically, right, together to accomplish the same purpose. Well, if we want peace on our planet, then internally we need to find peace within ourselves first. And then we need to demonstrate it and uplift others, right, when they're hurting and struggling, and help them rather than criticize them and tell them they're wrong, or make them look bad or make them be wrong, right? Even within like this community, okay, we can see how people may, denigrate another person. Now, some of that is on purpose by those dark energies that want us to be divided. They want us to bicker between each other and tear each other down, okay? Because that's when they win and they keep their power. So if you know that that's happening, you don't have to buy into the energy. No gossip, right? No derogatory statements against, another colleague who may have a podcast that you don't agree with, right? Just bless it and let it go. Don't focus on that energy. And when I'm doing hypnosis with my clients, that is the type of energy that your higher self will then connect with. Your higher self, there are several levels of consciousness within our energy field. And so when a person is in hypnosis or trance or mindfulness or meditation, to me, it's all the same thing. Okay. It's just a shift in energy from, the awake alpha state into a beta state or a theta state or a delta state of sleep. So once you access that state of consciousness, then what happens is you bypass the critical factor, the conscious mind that is listening to me now, everything I'm saying, right? You bypass the conscious mind, but then you go into the higher energies of consciousness, the subconscious, the super consciousness, which then in those dimensional frequencies, those consciousness, they have a different belief structure that anything is possible. That when you focus on those things, you can manifest those into your life and you can shift anything. You can even shift a bad relationship with a partner if you focus into those higher states of consciousness. So when I'm talking to you, a lot of you may go, wow, I'm feeling this in my body. My body's vibrating, right? You're getting goosebumps possibly. Things might be ringing true for you. And you go, I'm familiar with that energy. I know what that is. I felt that before, but I've forgotten, right, what that feels like. And I've forgotten how to tap into it. So that's one of the reasons why today in particular, with everything that's going on this entire week, with all these intense energies, these are the kind of things that people need to hear to give you hope, especially if you're depressed, if you're anxious, if you're feeling guilty, if you're grieving about something, understand that when you focus your intention in a hopeful state, no matter what's happening around you, you can manifest good things in your life because those old belief systems can fall away. But I encourage you, if you find I don't care what kind of practitioner it is, if you can find somebody anywhere on this planet that can help you transmute those old belief structures, you will free yourself up and get unstuck faster than you think. And it's always good to have a guide or a coach, right? To coach you through those things who's been there and done that. They know what that feels like. They know how uncomfortable it feels like. You know, everything that I've done to work on myself individually, it hasn't been a cakewalk. There have been moments where I was like, I wanted to give up and run away, or this is too difficult. But my higher self kept telling me, push through it, Renae. Embrace it, push through it, accept it, forgive it, transmute it, let it go. And when I did that, then I moved to the next step and I freed myself basically energetically. And I was no longer buying into those old paradigms and those old belief systems. So whether you're doing mindfulness, Tai Chi, hypnosis, jogging in the park, EMDR, whatever it is that works for you, okay, don't wait. Do it now. There's no time like the present, right? I always tell my clients the present is a present in the present. And so the longer you delay, the longer you'll be stuck, right? So why stay there? That's no fun. You're not enjoying your life when you're stuck in those things. And by no means am I saying that any of this could be paid, is easy. But, you know, we humans, we want to push a button, an easy button, you know, like on the TV commercial. Let's push the easy button or take a pill. No, that's not the way consciousness works. You know, you have to shift through and embrace things and, you know, embrace the energy instead of running away from it or being afraid of it. Because it's only when you move through the darkness with courage, right, that you then move through it and then it no longer controls you. And it won't come back and surface, you know, its negativity and its ugly head and trap you and keep you stuck once again. So I know that's a lot to digest, but hopefully I've given you food for thought out there in the world, no matter where you are today. I'm sending you love, I'm sending you hope and peace, and don't give up, no matter how hard you think things are. You know, if you feel like hurting yourself, okay, please reach out to someone. Tell them what's happening, because in the moment, while it feels like the end of the world and you want to give up and check out, the next day could be even better and open a door to move you forward so you can live the rest of your life in a body on this planet with more joy and hope and peace, no matter what you see going on around you. Every day is a new start. No matter what you think you may have done to hurt someone, no matter how much guilt you feel like you might be carrying on your shoulders, okay? We are divinely given through the grace of the Creator every day a choice to change your life. Whatever you may have done, everything is forgivable. I know that may sound crazy to a lot of people out there, but forgiveness is basically for yourself. And once you do that, then you free yourself up, you know, so you can actually let go of some of those things that you beat yourself up about that may not be your emotional energy stamps. Many of the people that I've worked with over the years, their belief systems and how they feel about themselves, guess what? It wasn't their energy. It was from a parent or a caregiver or a spouse or a partner or a boss that basically traumatized them and stamped their energy field. So now they carry around these emotions in their psyche and in their energy field, in their emotional body, and they beat themselves up, and it hinders their progress to move forward and become more enlightened and a higher vibrational frequency with their consciousness. Most of it is from your childhood, believe it or not. Old energy stamps from things that may have happened in your family dynamics, your family of origin, or even the caretakers that took care of you, you know. And so I want you to think about those things too, that it's not necessarily your stuff that you're carrying. You know, it could be something from earlier much earlier, whether you think it's in this timeline or another. And the reason that I like to utilize hypnosis to deal with some of those things is because your higher self, not me, I'm just the facilitator. Your higher self will take you to the time and place of that specific issue, whether it's in this lifetime or when you were in the womb, right before you were born in this lifetime, or any other time in the past in a different timeline. And whether we believe it or not, if you can shift the belief structure from that time, from that traumatic incident with the emotional energy charge, you can shift it and change it in the current timeline in this incarnation. And it can affect your relationship with a spouse, your partner, a work employee, your child, anything. It can shift. That's how powerful that super consciousness is to tap into. And people don't even know it exists because they've been told that hypnosis is a form of mind control. Well, no, because nobody can make you do anything that goes against your moral belief system. Nobody.
Wow.
And nobody can make you do anything that goes against your moral belief system. And everyone has a moral belief system. Even you would think the most damaged people, like, antisocial personality disorders, somewhere in their energy, they have it. It's been so blackened and darkened over by all the nasty, cruel things that they've done or have happened to them. Okay. And so there's a spark of light within every being because we're from that creator energy. It's just the experiences that being has undergone that have shifted their belief system and caused this energy, so that then, because they're hurt people hurt other people, right? Hurt people have a need to be in control because that's how it makes them feel safe. So if they can control you, then that makes them feel safe, but they're still not dealing with their issue, right? And so then it bleeds out into their behaviors. And as we can see, there are many people who are in power on our planet right now who definitely have psychological deficits clinically, okay? That's why they do harm to people, because their belief system is skewed from that old paradigm of trauma. And that's what you see acting out in front of you all around you these days, right? Now, there are good people out there too who are showing you, no. We're people out there. We have integrity. We have ethics. We have compassion for other human beings. And that's why we stand up to the bullies, because we know they have been so traumatized and so hurt, but they're consciously unaware of why they're doing what they're doing, right? And so we have to do what? We have to shine our light. We have to speak the truth. We have to manifest wonderful qualities of compassion and kindness and integrity to, those people, because they've lost their way. And when they lose their way, then they think that they can manipulate and control us and brutalize people across the planet. And those kinds of karmic actions will come back eventually to haunt them. But who knows what lifetime that might be, right? Right now, we're living in this place. And so if we want to have a more peaceful planet, these are some of the things we need to think about working on ourselves individually and then collectively together as a cohesive unit. I'm sure many of you out there probably were Star Trek fans, right? And you're aware of the Prime Directive, and that the galactics from other planetary places and spaces in the vastness of the universe could not intervene unless we asked them to help us, right? Well, I know there are a lot of people out there who say, well, they're already here. Yes, of course, it's obvious, right? And why are they not intervening in a beneficial way for our planet? Well, they are, because they are demonstrating that when you're in that higher vibration of consciousness, you don't need to force your belief systems on another sentient species, if that makes sense to you all out there, right? Because you've already evolved to know that that's inappropriate behavior for many, many reasons, right? And that doesn't help to be more cohesive, right? To work together when you're trying to force your belief structures on another species for your own personal gain because you believe that's what's right. Well, the truth is different from each person, right? So that's an inappropriate way to act to a species. Now, should we expect them to come in and save us? I'm sure everybody thinks that maybe that's going to happen, right? That skies are going to open up. They're all going to be in their mass force, which they already have been, by the way. They've been filling up our skies in different places all over the planet. But they're not coming to save us per se because they want us to shift on our own without forcing us, right, to do that. Because then that's another way for, the people in power to say, well, look, they're coming here to manipulate and control us, right? Instead of us evolving ourselves. We have all the capabilities to evolve. It's just because of what's all the trauma that's been going on this planet for eons, it's clouded our belief system. It's clouded our vision. It's taken us away from internally trusting our gut and our higher self. And we all are connected to our higher self, unless you've cut off your crown chakra, right? From drinking or abuse issues, or, maybe you have some entity attachments you need to release. I know Rob's discussed this on his podcast many times. There are things that you can do, to alleviate some of that burden. So anyway, Rob, I know that's a lot. I know people want to do readings. I took an hour to do that, but that's okay. Do you have people in your audience that actually have some questions that they'd like me to?
Yeah, but there was Tiffany requested a reading and she donated. Not Tiffany Rumping, Tiffany Rose. And that was the first person who donated. And I was figuring we could, and thank you, Tiffany, because there's two Tiffany's in the audience. There's Tiffany Rumping, and then there's Tiffany Rose. But she goes by Sally Forth on here. So I'll bring up her, excuse me. I'll bring up her.
So which one are we? Which one is first? Tiffany
This
Rumpling?
is Tiffany. Her name is Sally Forth, and but her real name's Tiffany. She donated, but she didn't say what her question was. Tiffany, do you have a question? And then also if you could give us your birth date too. She said like at the beginning. I don't know if you caught the beginning. Like if you can tap in, if you can give your birth date, she can tap into you better. And then also if you have a good a question that you want, that you want answered, like, or something that you would really like answered, that would help her tap into you better.
And then I can also pull an Archangel Metatron card for her too. Okay.
Yeah.
So is that Sally? Sally Forth?
Yeah.
I'm seeing. Okay.
She said that November 20th is her birthday. Or is that November 30th? That's November 20th. Yeah.
Okay, so she's a Scorpio. Hey, by the way, does she have any English in her background? As far as like the UK, England, that sort of thing?
I'm not sure.
So I'm going to pull a card for her and put my glasses on, if I can find them. Where did I put them? Hold on a sec. Let me just grab. I'll be right back. So, did she? So I see a question says, I've seen a
She
lot,
said,
even in the chat, that makes me feel way better than I did this morning. Okay.
yeah,
So,
she says here, she says she's having a hard time trusting people and with triggering others or being triggered.
her card, by the way, this is Amanda Alice, Archangel Michael, her Metatron cards. I've been using these for quite a few years now because that energy of Metatron is has a lot of wisdom when he comes through energetically, and he also doesn't pull any punches. He's kind of like practical, practical wisdom and psychology. He's kind, but he's very let's just say confident in what he tells people. Okay. And so some people may not be used to that, but I always think that isn't it best to hear some words of wisdom that even though they might be uncomfortable, right, they get you to wake up and think about, what it is you're doing and how you're feeling. So this card, let me put my glasses, it says communication, speak up and be heard. Speak up and be heard. So energetically, right, when you're having hard time trusting people and you're getting triggered, okay, or others might be being triggered around you, just know that that's some of the old paradigm, the old belief systems, and it may not be your stuff. It could be from your childhood. It could be from a recent relationship that you broke things off with. It could be from a job where a boss treated you badly. You could have been bullied, either in a work setting or in childhood. But when you're having a hard time trusting people, it's not so much that you're supposed to trust people. It's that you need to learn to trust your intuition, your gut, your inner self, that part of you that has the wisdom to know what and who you can trust. And when you do that, okay, that is a big key for you dealing with some of these energies. You have to learn to trust yourself because you're the only one who has all the answers for you. You just haven't learned to trust it in a way that you don't care what anybody else says to you, right? I mean, I could have a billion people tell me, well, I don't like your hair that color. Well, okay, that's your opinion. But for me, intuitively, it's a color I like. It makes me happy. It gives me joy. I don't care what they say, right? Because for me, intuitively, I trust for me, this was a choice that was right for me. And so if you've questioned that your whole life, Sally, okay, that again could be an old belief structure that was put on your energy field that wasn't yours, that you've been carrying with you for whatever time you've been in a body on the planet. So find somebody that can help you work through transmuting those belief structures so you stop getting triggered, and then you'll learn to trust intuitively your gut. I always tell people your gut is like, if in your gut, if you hear somebody and they say something to you and it becomes a red flag and it's like making you nauseous or it's causing anxiety or your skin starts to like act up in a cathartic way in rashes, then obviously that's a negative experience, right? And that's not right for you. So trust your gut and trust your body. We have emotions. We were giving emotions for that very reason, to trust the emotions. So if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling nauseous, whatever that internal feeling is, that's what you need to pay attention to. That's your truth. And if that person is triggering you in some way, walk away. You can say no, right? You can set a clear boundary. You don't have to buy in to what somebody's telling you is the truth because it's not your truth, right? So that's why I was saying before, people don't do the inner work that they need to do to free themselves up from getting these triggers. Like when Rob was sharing his story before. when he was getting triggered, right? And why? Because the trigger went right back to a past trauma here in the frontal cortex of his brain. It stamped his seat of emotions, which is where your emotions are actually stored on the bone. You could tap them. And he went right back to all those emotions that flooded through his body from that past trauma that got triggered. And so once he releases that, that won't happen to him again. And then he's free, and it's, you know, it's almost as if he cured himself, right? Which we can. That's the lovely thing about working through these triggers and traumatic events. It's not me fixing you. It's me working with you as a team. I'm the facilitator, but because you believe that you can transmute these things, you can go tap into the quantum field, the tachyon energy, and you can transmute those old traumas, and then the triggers no longer trigger you. I write about that extensively in both of the books on Amazon, you know. So if you like to read, go buy a book, sit there. If you want to contact me later, you know, if you have a question, you can do that. You know, you can contact me. I think I put things in the books to contact me, but you can always DM me or you can email me. I do have a psychologytoday.com site, but I also do a lot of coaching and that sort of thing, you know. So if you can't find a practitioner that you like, that you want to work with, you know, let me know. I'm here. That's why I'm here on the planet. I'm here to help others shift through all these old triggers and these traumas. So I hope that helped you, Sally. Thank you so much. And don't give up, okay? There's every day is a new day, and things do change. You don't stay in that same energy forever. And just know that everyone on the planet right now is dealing with something that is actually triggering them. Nobody is getting out of this. Nobody is getting out of this experience. We were all destined to go through these shifts of energy. They like to call it the ascension process. So when people are symptomatic, whether you're having negative thoughts, depression, OCD, you're maybe having something like a little bit of suicidal type of thought processes, any kind of guilt, anxiety, anger issues, even heart palpitations. Yes, you can go get taken care of. You can go to a regular MD. You can go to a holistic MD. You can, you know, try to get assessed. You can do blood tests. There's all kinds of things you can do to rule out if it's a physical problem, right? You know, and then that stops haunting you, because sometimes when people are having these psychological or emotional symptoms, it can be a part and parcel, a result of a connection with maybe a medical or health related issue. So if you haven't had yourself checked out in a while, you may want to do that too. So I hope I kind of helped her with that issue a little bit. And did she ever say if she had any
Yeah, she does. She says
English, like
somewhere with a D,
England,
wait, honestly.
UK?
Yeah, she does. She says she's from let me see where she said at Harrington. Harrington is the name in her family. She said Harrington. She does. Harrington is the name in her family.
But that's English descent from England.
Yeah, that's what you asked, right?
Yeah, okay. Because I clearly was picking up an ancestor from England that made a transition, that crossed over, that's been around her. Can you ask her if she's been experiencing anything like that, whether in her dream state, or if she's felt an energy shift around her, or you know, items being moved around in the room? I don't want to scare her, but you know, just because you shift out of a body, a corporal body, you're still very much alive, because there's no such thing as death. We do not die. We just shift. So oftentimes when a person who's in a body on the planet is struggling, a loved one from the other side acts kind of like, a protector, and they're around you and they're trying to get your attention because they know you're struggling and you might be thinking about hurting yourself, and they're trying to get your attention to let you know that whatever it is, you can get through it and it will pass, and they love you and they're there for you. So
You said literally all those things happening. While you answer her, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
okay. So when I'm working with the client, I'm very intuitive, and so I hear, see, feel, and know things. And I often pull in a spirit or a loved one that's in a different dimension. You can call it the other side, you can call it heaven, whatever your belief system is. Okay. To me, as long as they're coming in with love and light and wisdom, and they're here to help you, okay, and whatever they tell me, I don't screen what they show me or tell me. I just give it to you the way they're showing it to me, or how I'm feeling it, or how the visual might be. So immediately when you came through, the first thing I was experiencing, I kept hearing, ask her if she's from England. Okay, if she has English roots, not the language English, but like the UK, Britain, and that sort of thing. And so there is a loved one that's in a different dimension who's been around you. I'm pretty sure it's a feminine energy, or someone who had a lot of feminine energy. And they were very maternal and warm around you. And I don't know if they left you when you were a young child or exactly when they made their transition, but this person's been around you a lot, and especially now since they see you're struggling. And so when they come through like that, is there something, I have to wait till Rob comes back to have maybe him ask you so you can answer.
I'm here. I was just, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just telling her that there's a maternal presence of feminine energy that's English from like the England, that has made their transition, that's been around her. Maybe even they made their transition when she was a bit younger, and they've been around her lately because they see her struggling. So they want me to ask her, are you putting either roses around you or essential oils that have rose in it, or maybe her energy was rosy? Or can you ask her if there's anything like that that has to do with rose or roses around her?
Did you hear her, Sally or Tiffany? Tiffany. She says she's been having twinkles of light and loud noises.
Because she's trying to get your attention, because you're struggling with something. Okay, so I'm just going to ask it. Are you thinking about hurting yourself, Sally? I mean, you don't have to get into it if you don't want to, but are you thinking about harming yourself in any way?
She says, I don't know. My last name is Rose, but not a blood relation to it. She said, I don't know. And then she said, yeah, she said she is thinking about hurting herself.
Okay. So, I don't know if anybody knows about the Long Island medium, Teresa Caputo.
I know her. Yeah, I know her. Yeah.
Okay. But I'm a lot like her when I'm picking things up. So oftentimes when I'll say like Rose, okay, I may not be getting exactly what they're trying to tell me. But now that she says her last name is Rose, I'm like, okay. So it's somebody that she knew that made a transition, who was maternal, who's been around her and concerned about her, trying to get her attention because they're worried that she's going to hurt herself. And they're trying to tell her that that's not, well, you can't ever tell somebody not to do something. But what they're saying is that they want me to explain something to her. Okay, so here goes. Here's what I tell my clients who are suicidal or who have attempted suicide and who still might be thinking about it. And oftentimes they're suicidal because of past traumas that then make them feel unworthy, right? And when you feel unworthy, then you feel bad about yourself and you just don't want to be here anymore, right? Because it's too painful. So what I've told my clients who've been suicidal or who've tried to commit suicide or thinking about doing something to harm themselves, I say, look, we have free will. The Creator gave us free will. If you are going to make that choice to do that, there will be consequences for that action. And they go, what do you mean consequences? Well, they're going to put you, whoever they are, when they do your life review, you're going to make a transition. You're going to be in front of a council of elders. They're going to look at your entire life. They're going to do a life review. And then they're going to say, well, you wanted to come into this incarnation because you had things you wanted to learn and to teach for your soul to evolve. But because you're checked out early, then your contract, because we all have a contract, we have an expiration date on our contract, right? Since you checked out early, we're going to put you back in another body and you're going to go back again and maybe have to go through some of the same experiences. And I say to them, why would you want to do that again? That's insanity, right? So again, instead of, struggling and thinking you don't want to be here, you want to hurt yourself. And that's your purview. That's your choice. You have free will. Why don't you just deal with whatever it is that's making you feel horrible so you can treat that. And so you can then raise your vibration and be happy and joyous and live your life in a body until the end of your expiration date, whenever that might be. And don't ask me what that is because they don't show me that. I'm not privy to that kind of information. And I wouldn't tell you that anyway, because we're not supposed to know. We're supposed to have our memories kind of like blocked so that we can live a whole life in this lifetime and go through our experiences and evolve as spiritual beings without all the crap from the other lifetimes that maybe, would then affect our decisions in this one, right? It's like a blank slate, a tabula rasa, in French terminology, right? We have a blank slate when we're born in this incarnation, and then we get to do what? We get to create whatever we want. And if we knew about all the past stuff, maybe we would make different decisions that would affect the current timeline and future, right? And so we're a soul in a human body here having a human experience. And we can't do that if we're constantly being bombarded by old lifetimes. So I hope that if you're feeling like hurting yourself, please, I beg you, seek out somebody who you trust that knows how to help you through this, that can help you desensitize some of this trauma that's making you feel unworthy, like you don't deserve to be here and so unhappy, and get some help. Okay? There are so many people out there that are so qualified that could help you, honey. Okay? You don't have to make that choice. You really, really don't. And you don't have to suffer. So thank you for confirming that Rose, that the person that was coming through that gave me that name, Rose, confirmed that they were here, that they see what's happening to you. They love you, and they don't want you to cross over prematurely before it's your time. Okay, so I hope I helped her. I hope I helped her.
That was amazing. I thought that was great. That was great.
Well, listen, because I'm a clinical psychotherapist on top of everything else, my primary responsibility to the people I work with is to do no harm, right? Is to do no harm and to help them not harm themselves any more than they already have. Because that's what I do. That's what that's my training. That's my background. And I can't tell you that, I have helped so many people not hurt themselves by just giving them some basic information. And then when I give them a reading from a loved one from the other side, wow, that stops it right there, because that just confirms for them that they're not alone, that when they make their transition, they're going to reunite with their loved ones. Okay. Because death is not the end. Right. And it validates for them that I'm actually speaking to the loved one that is watching over them, and it makes them feel less lonely. And also to let them know that now that you know who's there, you can talk to that person anytime and have them come and just sit with you. You can talk to them before you go to bed at night and say, hey, I'm struggling with this issue. Excuse me.
You okay? Just
I've been burning some Nag Champa, so it probably went down my windpipe.
Yeah.
Because I like to smudge, before I do readings, because I like the highest vibration around me that could possibly, be in, because then people like her loved one on the other side, it just makes them easier to drop their frequency and their vibration. And they drop theirs a little bit, like halfway, and then I raise mine halfway. And then it's like, oh, we meet in the middle. That's why it's called medium. That's why you're a medium. And that's so, that's why you're called a medium, because you're kind of meeting them in the middle. So,
I love that.
I love that. And so, Teresa Caputo, she's crazy with that big hair and those long fingernails, and she's Italian. Well, I'm Sicilian Italian, right? But I'm also English, and I have, other, types of genealogy in my background too. But when you're picking up with a vibrational frequency like her loved one, that person has been trying to get her attention for quite some time. But when you're depressed and your vibration has dropped, it's very hard for you to connect with that vibrational frequency, because you're depressed. You've dropped your vibration. So it's really important for Sally or Tiffany. I don't know why she's going by Tiffany when her name is Sally, unless
her name's Tiffany. She goes by Sally on YouTube, but her name's Tiffany in real life.
But why is she using Sally?
I have no clue.
So here's what I want to say about a name. Okay, so when I was born, my father named me Renae, but he spelled it Renae. And when you do numerology, right? Astrology and numerology, which I also do, okay? The vibration of your birth name is your frequency. And when you're using a different birth name frequency, it's a different frequency when you're not using your birth name. And so that can also affect your energy, right? Now, Sally Forth, that sounds to me very English, like from England. Forth, okay? But maybe that's why I was picking up her energy. But when Rose came through that name, and she confirmed it, and it confirmed it for me, that just validated for me and for her that as a medium, I tapped into that energy. And so she can do that too.
Yeah, because Tiffany Rose is a beautiful name. I would be
Absolutely. And so here's the other thing too. Young Living essential oils. They make an oil called Rose. It's a little expensive, okay? But it can raise her vibrational frequency out of this depression and this morose feeling she's feeling, and maybe like unworthiness and feeling not good about herself. It can raise her vibration and she will start feeling lighter. So essential oils can do that. And also, if she could take Epsom salt baths to clean the energy field off, because she may not be carrying her stuff, maybe from other people or from somebody who may have abused her or manipulated her, controlled her, taken advantage of her, whatever time or place. Epsom salts will clean her energy field off immediately. She'll feel refreshed and lighter. Okay.
Oh my God. When you said Young Living, I haven't heard the name Young Living since my ex-girlfriend, because I have a story behind that. My ex-girlfriend, when I thought I had COVID, my ex-girlfriend, this is like 2-3 years ago when COVID was real big, and my ex-girlfriend tested for COVID and I tested for it. And then, like I got really sick, needless to say, and whether it was real or not real, I was sick with something. I was like really bad. My ex-girlfriend came with thieves oil, and you can use thieves
Yeah.
oil for anything, but thieves oil is like a
Yeah.
miracle. I know Young Living made
Absolutely.
that. Like I
You
haven't
know,
taken it since then
you know what?
because I took so much of it when I was sick. Sorry, I
I
didn't mean
know,
to.
I know about like the things that you were talking about with the entity and the thing coming in your room and all that stuff, right? So,
Yeah,
Young Living has a book. It's like a Bible. It's probably like 300 pages. Okay. Any known ailment known to man, any psychological issue, any health, medical, physiological symptom profile, they address with oils in that book. And you could probably get that from Young Living Oils. I know they're still in business. Sometimes you have to go through like a person to get an oil, but for me, I would just go and call them. Just call them. And
yeah,
and then if you mix it with like their mixing oils and stuff, you can actually go to a massage therapist, and they can, as they're giving you massage, they can put it on the spinal column, which is like a xylophone. So
yeah,
we have chakras that run in front and behind us. And so when you're getting a raindrop treatment, that's what they call it. And I think Young Living gives a class on raindrop therapy. And I took these classes years ago. I've done so much stuff, it's ridiculous. But anyway, that's why I know about these things, because I did these things. Okay. And so I learned experientially, and then I could give this information to people that I, coach and work with. And so what they'll do is they'll drop a sequence of drops on the spinal column that effectively go right into the spine itself and into the emotional issue that you're struggling with. So if you have an issue of unworthiness, actually there's a book by, I believe it's Cindy Gale. I want to say Cyndie Gale. She does a whole chapter on the spinal column that correlates, each spine correlates with each emotion, okay, in the body that goes into that chakra system that starts to spin in a negative way, not a positive, right? Because chakras spin, they should spin clockwise, straight up and down if that chakra is healthy. But if a chakra is blocked because of a trauma or an emotional issue, it may be dark, it may be spinning backwards, it may be tilted at an angle, and then that affects your energy system too, by the way. So she can do those kinds of things. Find a great massage therapist in her area who maybe does raindrop therapy, who maybe uses Young Living oils, or ask Young Living if they can make a referral or a recommendation for someone who might live in her town or area. Or she can Google and see if she can't find somebody to do that. Oftentimes when you do that sort of therapeutic intervention, it goes right into the issue like right away, and it can allow it to come up and you can release it, and then it stops triggering you. There are so many holistic types of interventions, whether it's color, light therapy, sound therapy like gongs or crystal bowls, Reiki, Tai Chi. There are so many energetic vibrational interventions that a person can do that can release and negate the negative trauma and raise the vibration in that chakra, which then restores that part of the body, whether it's the throat chakra because you're afraid to speak up, right? Whether it's your gut, which doesn't allow you to trust yourself, right? Or your sacral chakra. Those chakras, they spin and they go right into our emotions and our energy centers. And they can cause medical problems, health problems, physiological, psychological problems, because we're mind, body, and spirit. We're not just the mind. We're not just the body. Okay. We're a soul in a human body that is affected by everything: toxicity, biochemistry, immunology, psychology. Our body is a well-oiled machine that was meant to live 800 years or longer, believe it or not. But because we've been exposed to horrible toxicity on this planet by powers that want to manipulate and control us and traumatize and abuse us, right? It then breaks our telomeres down. It affects our immune system, right? We're in a constant state of spiked cortisol, which causes what? Weight gain, sleep disturbances, anxiety, depression. Our food is bioengineered or has chemicals in it that we cannot pronounce the words. We don't live off the land and eat naturalistically any longer. And so that's why our bodies start to degenerate at earlier, and we have these chronic conditions, including these psychological imbalances. So hopefully I put a lot of information out there. I know I'm like a walking encyclopedia, but they call me the librarian on the other side. So because I have all this stuff in my head, but with Rose though, I'm glad that she was able to. I'm glad, Rose, that Tiffany Rose, that you were able to feel safe enough that you could be vulnerable to say those things when I came out and asked you directly. So, see, that was a step in the right direction. You took a risk, right? And guess what? You did trust somebody. You trusted me because you told me, you gave me information so I could give you information then to validate that you don't have to stay stuck. So you have the capability to trust. I hope you hear that. Do you hear that, Rob? She has the capability to trust because she trusted me. And she didn't have to do that. So I give her tons of credit. That's so brave for you to do that. Good for you. Just now keep going. Okay? Don't backtrack. Keep going. You're going to be okay. Is there another person in the
We had two more. We had Jay Skyrunner and Karen Rosevich, and I'm not sure if anybody else requested readings, but Jay Skyrunner was next. And Jay said his birthday was maybe we could fit into. I got to see what time my next show is, but I can see.
And you know what, Rob, I can do another time too. I mean, because I know people need this now. I'm available. So Jay Skyrunner, is he Native American?
He's Canadian, but I think he has Native American roots. Like I think he has Native American blood.
Can you ask him, because I'm picking up big time Native American, like.
Well, he's very spiritual too. He has his own YouTube channel, and he's very spiritual. But like let me see, Jay, are you Native American as well? Are you still with us in the chat?
Is he a Capricorn? Ask him if he's a Capricorn. December 30th, 1975. Hey, that's the year I graduated from high school. Okay.
I'm just waiting to see what he says. I
actually had a card jump out for him. Okay, hold on. Let me just grab it.
He says no. He says no. He's all white. He says he's all white.
He's all white. This is the card that jumped out for you, Jay. It says emotional well-being, and it's a water energy. Okay, so if I did his astrology and numerology, I would like to see if he had water in his chart.
He said there's Native American way back in the lineage, he says.
But see, that's why I'm telling you, as a medium, when I get that stuff come at me, it comes at me like really strong, and it hits me like right in the eyes. And that's the first thing I heard. And that's why I asked him if it's in his lineage. Okay, so because he has that lineage and he has that spirit around.
You were also right. He's a Capricorn. He is a Capricorn. So am I, Jay. I'm a Capricorn as well, January 11th.
Okay. So Capricorn is the goat that has to climb on the craggly hills up a mountain to reach the top, right? The pinnacle, right? And so anytime there's a water component that is impinging on him, he might feel like he's drowning sometimes. But that's a part of the energy that the cards were showing that maybe he needs to work through. Now, Native Americans do a lot of ceremonies, everything from the Native American church, right? Where they go in and they do, they pour water on the coals, right? So when you pour water on the coals in the Native American church, a sweat lodge, it then allows steam to rise, right? So if there's an issue with emotions, because our emotions, we're like 85% water, our bodies, right? So if you're struggling with your emotions, then that may be the issue, to get yourself in a sweat lodge. He's in Canada. There are a lot of tribes up there, by the way. And I know they still do sweat lodges because that's their ceremony. That's their church. And so maybe he wants to consider going and doing a sweat. Because as the steam rises, as they pour the water over the rocks, not coals, I'm sorry. I had a brain fart. They pour water over basically rocks. And then it's like a sauna. So it allows the steam to come up. But then it purifies everybody in the sweat. And when you're in a sweat, the only way you're going to get air is if you stick your nose into the corner where the canvas hits the ground. Because I've done sweats. And trust me, when you're struggling in there, you're releasing stuff that you've been holding on to for a long, long time. So it's a really great way to detox your body and sweat your lymphatic system, which would definitely help release with stuff in your immune system. And oftentimes the Native American who is doing the sweat ceremony themselves, sometimes they'll open the flap if you're sitting right there and allow you to get a little breather. But here's the thing I want to tell them about the sweat. I had this experience when I did a sweat. I got out of the sweat. I went into a bathroom. I saw myself as a Lakota Indian woman, 90 years old, with long gray hair. Okay. I stood in front of the mirror 20 minutes. It never changed. It was like I had shape shifted back to that lifetime when I was at Wounded Knee. And I did actually have memories of Wounded Knee too. I know. I have a Native American in my history too. So when they're showing me that, they're showing me very strongly if he could go and do a sweat right now for him, whatever this issue is with him with the water and emotions, that would really help him alleviate that and move through it. I don't know. Is there a Bible that he has from an elder or a loved one that is in his lineage that he can access? Can you ask him if there's some kind of a reference, a book, a Bible, something with his heritage in there?
Jay, are you hearing her?
Jay?
Sometimes I think the chat's behind, so sometimes it takes it takes a while. He says, when I look into the mirror, he says, in out-of-body experiences, he sees Azazel looking back.
He said what? He sees what?
Azazel looking back. The Archangel Azazel.
Oh, okay. That's really cool. Okay, so another reason why a sweat would be great, because that Archangel is making contact with him, right? Wants to align with his energy, wants to give him support, information. And if he is an energy worker, which I know he is to some degree, I don't know exactly what he does energetically, but I know he's an energy worker of some sort, that could lift his abilities up even more and then ground him in his heritage. Native Americans so much trauma in so many of their tribes, so much alcoholism, so much sexual abuse in a lot of the tribes, and that's because of white settlers coming in, trying to control them with their belief systems, because, they thought their way of living was the right way, which we all know in hindsight was a bunch of crap, right? So when you go back and you do like a genealogy type of thing, or you connect with your heritage, that's your genetic, energetic line. That's your lifeline. It's really important for people to connect with that, because those ancestors are still attempting to get a hold of you. Because I want you to understand that when you work on your issues in this current incarnation, you then go back, ancestors, back 1, 2, 3 generations, sometimes even more, where you can repair and heal a lot in that genetic lineage. And so if he would want to do that, if he was open to doing that, I'm not telling him to do it. If he's open to do it, if he feels like it could connect him further, I think it could bring that energy from those lineages from, several generations back to help him not only with his personal self, but with his work. Because that heritage is so beautiful. Native Americans, they knew they had it all figured out until we came in and raped, pillaged, and plundered their territories. Okay. And, I say that not because, I want to upset anyone. I say it because it's the truth, right? But when you heal yourself in this current incarnation, you then heal ancestral lines all the way back, very, very far. So if that helps him, that I would love to know if any of that rings true for him. And I thank you, Jay, for that. That was a cool reading. Thanks.
That's great. I'll report back. We have enough time to do one more reading.
Yeah, of course.
And we have this is another good one too. Karen Rosenbin. She's from over in Europe. She tunes into a lot of the psychic shows I do. She says her birthday is June 25th, 1986. So she's an 80s baby too. And she says, "Hi, Dr. Nagle. I'm sorry. What is the angst and nervousness that is keeping me away from relationships, friendships, and love?"
Okay, so you're on the cusp. Are you Gemini Cancer? Did she say? Because she's like...
Cancer, she said, yeah.
Okay. So Cancer is the crab. And crabs have a hard shell but a soft underbelly. And they're family people. So they like to take care of their family first. Everything about them is family. And if you are in a situation with family and you're not feeling that it's real cohesive right now, okay, then you're not feeling basically stable. Families can be wonderful and challenging and all those things, okay, because no family is perfect. But it wasn't meant to be perfect, right? I mean, life is about challenges. So if you're feeling angst and nervous and things are keeping you away from relationships, friendships, and love, I would take a look at what your childhood issues were in your family. Were your parents loving and kind to each other? Or did they argue a lot and berate each other and model negative behaviors for you that stamped your energy field to make you feel like you couldn't trust, that the world wasn't a beneficent place, that you couldn't trust, and complicated you having emotionally and intimate relationships with other people? Does that kind of like ring a bell for her? Ask her that. And I'm going to shuffle her cards and see if something pops out for her.
Let's see what she says. She says, no. She says there's a delay. Oh, yeah. She says she's from Denmark. She says, yeah, totally gotten a lot of therapy, she says.
Because of childhood issues, trauma, parental issues? Yes, or she can say yes or no. She doesn't have to get into the personal if she doesn't feel safe enough to do that in a public setting like this.
She said yes.
Thank you. Okay. See, yes, I'm a clinical psychotherapist, but I'm also a psychic and a medium. So when I'm asking you these things, I'm pulling from many different places energetically. And so when I'm asking specific questions like that, it's not just because of my clinical training, it's because I'm actually hearing these things to ask you. So, and the cards, nothing has popped out of the cards, which is fine. I mean, sometimes nothing happens like that. When cards want to come, they pop out because there's something that you need to hear on top of what I'm telling you. So, so if your therapy is not working because you're still getting triggered and you're still feeling this way, it's telling me that whatever you're doing or whoever you're working with, okay, it's not transmuting the energy stamp from the trauma. So, and yes, there are some abandonment issues going on in here too. And that's another reason why you're having a hard time forming relationships and friendships and getting the love that you so desire because of an abandonment issue that hasn't been treated. So you can do a lot of things. You can find somebody, a practitioner that maybe will do EMDR with you and go back and do the desensitization from the parental energy stamps. Because what's happening is you still have them in your energy field and you're getting triggered. And that's why you're having difficulty connecting in intimate relationships with other human beings so you can feel what? Joy, happiness, love, friendship. Because you don't trust that people aren't going to abandon you. And if you were abandoned in childhood, that's an energy stamp in your energy field that you can desensitize through EMDR rather quickly. And I know for a fact that there are EMDR practitioners all over the planet. And if you want to, you can go to the EMDR Institute.org, okay, and see if you can't have them help you find somebody, if you're in Denmark, right, that is trained, who has the experience. And I would find somebody that doesn't remind you of the person who abandoned you. Okay. Make sure it's a good energy match because, sometimes if people don't mesh with you, it's not because they're not nice or good people, they don't know their job. It's maybe because they're reminding you of the person who traumatized you. So, go with your gut intuitively and find the right fit for you. A person that energetically feels right, that you could learn to work with so that you can develop your trust issues in yourself and move through the abandonment issues, right? So that you can attach. Maslow's hierarchy goes through all things for children, okay? So when you're born, issues of safety are in Maslow's hierarchy. So you need to feel safe first, right? And then it goes up the ladder as far as, other things like, needs that you need to have so you can feel safe and secure, so that when you go through and learn that step, then you graduate to learn the next step. So in your childhood, if your parents were not role modeling safety for you, then you never learned that. So you didn't feel safe, and it's not a part of your repertoire, right? Kind of makes sense, right? And the basic personality of a child is formed by the age of 8 or 9. So if those steps were not instilled by modeling behavior from your parents, then energetically you didn't experience what that felt like. And so you didn't learn it, and then you don't feel safe. And so it's hard for you then to learn that with other people. Does that make sense, Karen? I hope that makes sense. Can you ask her if any of those things ring true for her, make sense for her, Rob?
Yeah, let me see here. She says, we have a method at my school that we call TGOG, and it's eye movement therapy. I only did it once, but I will do it again. Maslow's pyramid.
Okay. Oh, Maslow's pyramids? Is that part of that therapeutic intervention?
I think so, because she's from Denmark, so I don't know about a lot about over there. I know I'd like to go over there someday. It's I'd love to go to Amsterdam. That's I bet you it's amazing over there. But I don't know about a lot about their culture.
Okay, well, I lived in Europe for 3 years when I was in the Army. I was an EMT. I'm a Vietnam era non-combat veteran, by the way.
My dad was a Vietnam vet. I think I told you that.
Yes, he was. Yeah. Yes. And my third book is a lot about traumatic brain injury, combat injuries, hyperbaric medicine, PTSD, and suicide. The book's written. I just haven't published it yet. Anyway, so I digress. So I lived overseas for quite a few years. I traveled extensively. The culture in Denmark is very open and free, and it's very warm and inviting. However, if you were raised in a family dynamic where your parents argued and fought and they didn't make you feel safe, and you didn't learn that, and it didn't stamp your energy field, that behavior was modeled to you, then where are you going to learn that, right? You learn that from your caretakers, the people who are supposed to love you, protect you, care for you, and teach you how to be a human being, right? And so if you got stunted in your emotional and psychological growth at a certain age, let's just say it was 4 or 5, then no matter what age you are, whether you're 40 or 50, you're still going to carry that energy stamp from 4 or 5 into your life. It's going to affect your relationships and complicate your ability to make attachments. It's called attachment theory. And if you haven't attached and you've felt abandoned, then you haven't met Maslow's hierarchy, which are steps that you need to learn and grow to be basically a human being. And so EMDR therapy, if I can break it down in a nutshell in like 5 minutes, when you have fingers moving right here, see this? This is your frontal cortex, and this is your seat of emotions. And the way EMDR works is whatever the thought process is here stamped your frontal cortex, your columnar cells. They also stamped your emotions here, your seat of emotions. And so when you're going back with EMDR right here in this triangle, okay, you are tapping into that thought with the emotional energy charge that stamped your system that caused PTSD, anxiety, or any other symptom profile, whether it was trauma from war trauma, right, battlefields, or battlefields in your house where your parents fought all the time. It's still a battlefield. It still causes PTSD. It still causes trauma. So when you go through a series of EMDR treatments, which usually are about 90 minutes on duration, that's really, when I write about it in the second book on Amazon, to work properly, most clinicians are trained to do 90-minute sessions because you have to talk to the client.
You have to do the intervention, and then you have to put them like back together before they walk out of your counseling session, right? Because you don't want people bleeding all over emotionally for the next time before their session. And they don't talk about what happened to them. What happens is all the thoughts and emotions come to the surface out of the energy body. And because you're following the fingers, you're moving through each of the thoughts and the entire event as if you're sitting in a movie theater watching it happen on a screen. And because you're not talking and saying what happens, you don't restamp the stapes and the internal bones in the ear that then vibrate here into the seat of emotions and restamp you. And that's re-traumatizing you. So talking is a no-no, okay? And then somebody will also teach you how to breathe, connect with your higher self. They'll have you go to a safe plate in the light in between each repetition. And oftentimes these repetitions can go back and forth through the whole event, from beginning to the middle of the end. And what they'll do is they'll do initial, they call it a SUDS, subjective reading, before the intervention. Then they'll run through the entire memory of the event. And then they'll ask you, now on a scale of 1 to 10, when 10 was the highest, when you reported it initially of the intensity of the event, they'll say, now where are you now? What number pops out at you? And you might say, oh my God, I'm down to a 6. Great. I say, perfect. Let's run through it again. And then after you run through it again, then you ask the person again, well, what number are you at now? Well, she's like, I'm at a 2. And she goes, I can't even remember what the thing was anymore. It's like it disappeared, right? Like it never happened in the first place. And then I go back and run through it again because I like to get you down as close to a 1 as I possibly can. And then they do what's called like a body scan, and they'll scan your body from head to toe. That's part of the protocol for EMDR. And if there's any areas of darkness or tightness or anything like that, even if there's not a memory attached to it, there's still a feeling, which is an emotion. And whether you have a whole memory or not, the body still has the emotion from the event. It's called an initial sensitizing event. And then you can do more EMDR for that energy that's still trapped in the body. And then you can, then usually what happens is in the end, and by the way, they're moving really fast when they're doing this. They're either doing like an infinity circle in front of your face, or a zigzag, or straight across horizontally, depending on like what you're comfortable with. And I always ask the client, which one do you prefer? And in the middle of it, if it's bothering them, then we'll change up to another one. Okay. And there are other ways that you can do EMDR. They can do it through tapping and things like that. But I like this because I have a direct visual of the person's eyes, because oftentimes in the middle of the EMDR intervention, the eye will stop. And then I'll say, are you remembering something else? And they'll go, well, yeah, I am. I go, well, I don't want to know what it is. Let's move through that too. And as you do EMDR for one event, what happens in the brain, it's like a set of dominoes. It will go back and attach to similar traumas and clear those off too. And I won't even know that that's happening, but you'll stop being symptomatic. You'll stop getting triggered. And then you'll notice that you're trusting things more, that you actually are willing to take a risk to date somebody new, okay, and give them a chance without making, this thought in your head, well, what if it fails? Well, what if it doesn't, right? What if it succeeds? Because when you're no longer thinking, what if it fails, right? Then that means you've progressed and that you're willing and open to take a chance. Life is all about taking risks. Nothing stays the same. Everything changes. Okay. And so the healthy person knows that, and they go, well, some days suck and some days don't. Okay. Some days are going to be great and some days aren't. And some days I'm happy and sometimes I'm not. Nobody's happy every day of their life. Life has too many challenges, too many ups and downs. So I hope that gave you enough information, but I would start with the EMDRinstitute.org, do some Googling, maybe find some clinicians or practitioners who do it in Denmark, and then interview people. You don't have to take the first person that you interview and go into a session. If it doesn't feel right, trust your gut. find somebody who's perfect for you. A lot of times I'm treating clients remotely. I do I'll do Zoom. Okay. Because sometimes I have clients from other countries and they like me and they don't want to go anywhere else. And I go, okay, well, as long as you have a computer and, the screen is large enough, where you can follow my fingers to do the EMDR intervention, then I work with people, or if you want to do hypnosis, that's another alternative. But again, there are EMDR practitioners all over the world. So I hope, Karen, that gave you some direction and a little confirmation, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that, because I know it takes a lot of courage to come out and ask for help. It really does. So hopefully, Rob, that answered her question. If you could just ask her if that did, that would be great.
Yeah, was that good for you, Karen? And she says, thank you, really lovely. EMDR, here we go. Interview first, great reminder and very important. Yeah.
Good.
So,
Yeah, and you'll be, and trust me, it works every single time as long as you show up for your sessions. Okay. I have never had it not work with my clients, okay, unless they don't show up. And oftentimes in between the sessions, okay, you might get some catharsis and things might come up and you might be feeling like uneasy. What I would say is write, journal in between your sessions. If you can't get back to your therapist because you don't have time constraints, or maybe you can't afford a session twice a week or whatever, journaling, because that energy will come out from here and run energetically down your arm, out your fingers, or you can type it. But I prefer writing in a journal, because as you progress through your therapeutic intervention and you go back and you read your journal, you can go, oh my God, this is where I was and this is where I am now. I'm making progress. It's a motivational thing. It's a coaching thing. It keeps you motivated to keep going back and finishing your sessions until you start to notice little subtle changes. Like you're actually making connections now and you're willing to trust and move into relationships and take that risk, knowing that you'll be safe when you do that, and knowing that nobody can hurt you again because you're older now, right? And you're wiser and you've learned a few things in life, right? Because you have some life experience, right? So it'll just help you to start to trust yourself and your gut again. So I hope that was helpful, and I really appreciate that you took the time to ask me that, because it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable and ask for help. No matter what the issue is, there's always a solution. I want everybody to hear that in the audience. There's always a solution to whatever it is that you're struggling with. The only problem is if you don't take the first step, right, and reach out and ask for help, right, and interview the person, make sure it's a good energetic fit, you're never going to move beyond that. And you're going to stay stuck. And that's not what the Creator intended for us, to stay stuck in that old energy. So is that everybody, Rob, or do you have somebody else?
That's it. And
Okay.
we're basically out of time. We went a little bit over 2 hours, but that's okay because my next show isn't until 8. But I want to try to get out and get some exercise before my next show, because I haven't been able to walk for 2 days.
You need to go. Yeah, you need to go.
I really need to get out. Yeah,
hey,
listen, this was amazing, Renae. This was awesome.
Rob, and also Rob too. Again, with that one issue that you're being triggered, you're in Pittsburgh, okay? And so if you can't find somebody that can do that with you, EMDR, let me know and I'll do it with you.
Okay.
Just
think it would help for sure.
If it becomes an issue with you and it's really paralyzing you, just let me know.
Okay.
Because you've put me on your show so many times. I'd be happy to help you. No problem.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Renae. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
You're welcome, honey.
You want to tell people how they can book a reading with you and how they can book a session with you and all that and all this stuff you offer and all that stuff?
Yeah, well, I'm going to give them just a really quick, easy way. Okay, everybody has an email, so they can email me, RenaeNagle @yahoo.com. Very easy. Or you can Facebook friend me or DM me, okay, and say, hey, I heard you on Rob's show, Typical Skeptic, because then I'll know you're like where you came from, right? And you can say, is there any way we can have a consult? And I do give free consults. So, I'll do like a 15, 20-minute consult because usually my guides kind of show me everything really fast. And that's why I do it so fast. And then if you just want to do sessions with me, whether it's EMDR or hypnosis, I do things remotely. I've done it all over. Let me know. But give me at least 48 hours to get back to you because, I'm probably working, right? And in sessions. But I promise I will get back to everyone who contacts me. I won't leave anybody hanging. Okay. All right, Rob. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Renae, and have a good night, everybody. And I'll see you. I'm going to be on later tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern with Rock Castaldo. He's going to be talking about some esoteric knowledge, and he's going to be doing readings too. So, if you guys all want to tune in then later tonight, I'll be live then too. And I'm doing a collab podcast too, but that's at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, all right, and thank you, everybody. I'm going to go for a walk now and get some air. I need some air.
Love it, Bye, everybody.
Good night. Thanks, Renae. I love this. Thank you so much, Renae.